I think it goes back to what we said before. We have become very surface people, so we are attracted to surface things. And when people have money, they can buy things like nice clothes, nice shoes, nice jewelry, stuff like that. And so because we equate those material surface things with value, we put so much value in that. I think it's more so not necessarily that we consider those people more beautiful, it's that we consider them more valuable. Because they have things. That. Because we're very surface people and we care more about things than we do about people.
Welcome back, 5011 fam.
Had to switch it up this time.
You had to switch it up. Yes, for the remix. So it is J and D here with another episode of the 5011 Chronicles. And for those of you who don't know what we do, first of all, this is our second season. Hello.
So you should know.
Yes, you should know. But what we do here is we discuss everything from politics to pop culture. We represent 5011 voices. We detail 5011 experiences. We have and continue 5011 conversations. So welcome back again to season 2 of the 5011 Chronicles. We in here. Woo! So I know I say this like every episode because I just be so hyped. I get so excited to record an episode and for us to have our conversations. But I am really looking forward to this conversation. This is one thing that I know we're both extremely passionate about in our friend circles and, you know, in our family, and having conversations like this, and even on social media, having these conversations because it's important. So this episode, and even for me, because I know I've hinted at it, you know, going into starting a business in the beauty industry, like this is something that is very, you know, close to my heart and close to the reason why I got started doing what I'm doing. So this episode is about the standards that we have as a world, as a society in beauty, and then even more specifically about those beauty standards in the Black community. So we're going to cover a lot of topics from featureism to colorism. So trigger warning to those people out there who faced these things and need to be alerted of what the topic is going to be. This is what the topic is going to be. We're going to get into the into of it all.
The things
and I think
the
things of the things, you know, bury that. So this is going to be, it's going to be a fun conversation, but it's going to be a real conversation. And again, welcome back to the 5011 Chronicles.
Well.
Before we get into it, I have to say, you suggested a show to me, and I take your suggestions very seriously.
I don't play.
Because you don't play. And if there's anything that was part of the reason we became such close friends, we share a passion for good entertainment, good media. And, you know, like, we like to have a good laugh. We like some good drama. We like a little action. We like a good mix, a nice blend of genres. And you suggested Bridgerton to me, and I was a little hesitant, but then I remember we were talking on the phone, and I was like, "Now, why you didn't tell me that Bridgerton was Shondaland? Because you know I would have watched it that day. I would have binged it that day if I knew it was a product of Shonda Rhimes." Because
to be honest, because it was so good that I didn't need to lead with that. I didn't need to.
You're right.
I didn't need
You're
to.
right. Because I would have immediately known it was excellent regardless. Like, but I love that you gave me an opportunity to discover it. Like, you gave me you just said, hey, here it is. This is what it is. It's good. You'll love it. And I just finished the last episode today. I'm not going to dive into it because I think we'll give 5011 fam, we'll give y'all a chance to watch it. You know, catch up on your seasons, watch the whole thing. There is going to be a season 2, but I really feel like we should spend an episode talking about this show because they got into it. Like they she did this. Like,
She
that
did.
show was spectacular. I agree. I think on the show you talked about like the fact that there was so much diversity in the cast. The queen is Black, you know, all, like just the fact that it was really doing a different take on what that era could have been like.
And they modernized
And
it. It's
they
still
modernized the
relevant.
music.
Yes.
The music, hearing,
Yes.
what was that? Was it Seven Rings or was it Thank You? Thank You
Thank
Next.
You
One of those
Next.
songs. It was one of the first songs, and hearing
Thank
that
You
on
Next.
strings from like an orchestra
It
was
was so good.
so good.
The
There were so many
violinist
good
in me was
songs.
like, y'all better play.
Exactly. They showed out. It was so good. So the music is great. The costuming is amazing.
The
The casting, extremely. I mean, like really good cast. Head to
There
toe.
is
I mean,
one
everybody.
thing that I did see. The only thing I've seen of people say, I saw one thing that somebody said negative about it, and they were saying like, you know, how come the Black girl had to go through what she went through? But I felt like there was enough diversity in it to where it wasn't like she was the token Black girl and she went through all of this. Like, I didn't feel like it was that.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about? I don't want to give it
Yes.
away, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yes. I know who you're talking about. Because at first I was thinking, I was like, the Black girl, but then I was like, oh yeah, because there's a
because
point
it's
that
so
I actually
diverse that there's more than one.
There's more than one, but there's actually a point I want to get into as we have this conversation on beauty standards. Is, have you noticed? And this is actually no dig at the show, no dig at the actors, but this is something I've noticed a lot lately in the past maybe 5 years, and it's definitely been longer than that, I'm sure, but I've really come to notice it. Is there is this huge this use or this popular, it has become so popular for a lot of the leads who are representing the Black community to be racially ambiguous. And not that I have an issue with that, but it's something I also noticed with the story of the show and even the Black main characters, is that almost all of them are racially ambiguous. You can't tell they're Black in something. You can tell,
except for his
aunt.
I feel like his auntie is the only one where it's like, oh, she a Black lady.
Oh no, yeah, she's Black. Yeah, no, and the dad,
his dad, his dad.
You can tell, and the mom, like, she looked a little racially ambiguous. I mean, but she looked light skinned. But you know, it was one of those moments for me where I'm like, you know, I've been noticing that a lot more, even in other shows, not just, you know, Bridgerton, but a lot of other shows. I'm noticing that there's an influx of
They're
these
coming for
racially
Kenya Barris again. For the Cheaper by the Dozen remakes. It's a multiracial couple, and they are eating him up online. They are eating him up because people are so upset that everything he puts out is either a biracial, multiracial, that type of thing. Which, I mean, that's his life. You know, that's what he that's the life that he literally is leading. His wife is the same, but people are eating him up right now for that.
And it was just an observation, because as we get into the topic of this conversation and the beauty standards, the expectations, what is considered beautiful anyway in, you know, the multiple communities we as Black people belong to, I think, first of all, before we even get into that, we should probably talk about what those standards are and what are considered the standards of beauty, because they do evolve over time. To a certain degree, but there is kind of a core that is considered beautiful in Western beauty standards. So, of course, that's like fair skinned, you know, kind of youthful, thin,
small features,
small features, blue eyes, or light eyes, you know, hazel eyes,
straight or loosely curled hair.
Exactly, like a very loose curl pattern. Blonde hair, light brown hair. Those are considered, you know, and that's kind of summing up, you know, pretty quickly the Western beauty standards. But I think something interesting that Dee and I have talked about numerous times is, not as Black people, we don't only have to live up to Western beauty standards. There's also a second layer.
Well, let's not say Western. Let's make it very clear. European. beauty
European,
standard.
yeah. Let's call it.
Let's
Yeah,
just
you're
make it
right.
very
You're right.
specific.
Let's be very specific. You're right.
Because that's what
Or
it is,
those
because
European
it's the
Eurocentric.
European
Yeah,
standard of beauty across the world, because in every
absolutely.
culture that is the standard of beauty in every culture.
Absolutely. Yes. Good catch. Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's
So
just
yes,
call it
those
what it is.
European beauty standards. Absolutely. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, we live with a second layer of
Mm-hmm.
expectations or standards within just the Black community. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be like, the light skinned or the lighter skin tones, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Again, straight or relaxed hair, loose curls,
Looking mixed.
looking mixed. It's a particular type of curvy hourglass figure that is accepted. Booty, that is another
Mm-hmm.
thing in the Black community specifically. Like the way you dress, actually, I would say would fall into these beauty standards and expectations.
Yeah.
And even more of a need or like having European features, having
Yes.
those, the thin face, the
Mm-hmm.
narrow nose, the
Yep.
smaller nose,
Mm-hmm.
the distance between the eyes, smaller eyes. So there is, or even not even just I won't even say just European, but even here in the US, those Native American
Yes.
features. We've got I
Because
mean, gotta say it because
listen,
it's
back in
something
the day, Black people love to say they was
they was in.
Indian. That was the
Grandma's
thing.
Indian, yes, love to say it. Like I
Ooh, if
mean,
your hair was long, oh, you must be Indian.
oh yes, my great grandmother was Cherokee. They just be quick to throw out some tribe. They have no idea what they're
Which
talking about. So,
my sister did our African ancestry. And
mm-hmm,
the funny thing about it is, so from our understanding growing up, now our great grandmother, she is mixed. From our understanding, her mother was Jewish and Native American, from our
mm-hmm,
understanding. So my sister did the African ancestry, and the African ancestry tracks the maternal lineage. So the mothers of the mothers of the mothers. It's all the women. It tracks only
okay,
the women, right?
okay.
Child, we thinking maybe we not even gonna get a result, because from our understanding, and even if you see pictures of this woman, looks like a white woman.
White woman,
If you
right?
see if you see pictures of my great grandmother, like my great grandmother, and I'm blessed to still have her in my life, I've seen pictures of her when she was younger, even when she was like in her teens and so. My great grandmother could have passed if she wanted to.
Mm.
Like, she was very, very fair skinned. And so we thinking maybe we're not gonna get no results, like they ain't gonna find nothing. And when we get the results back and they pull us on up in West Africa, we like, hold on. Now, I thought they had said, and my sister had put the results on Facebook and stuff. And so our family, the comments light up, and you see all these people talking about Native American this, Native American that. Child, when I tell you, my cousin swooped in, she had did a Native American ancestry test, and child, she said it wasn't a piece of it. And mind you,
Hello.
her mother is my great grandmother's child. Okay, so we like, now hold on, somebody lied.
Somebody,
And
right?
so now it adds another layer of what our history may be, because now I'm thinking maybe her mother was passing and she wasn't being honest about being Black, because she has some Black in her, because African ancestry wouldn't have found nothing if she didn't.
Mm-hmm. And that was actually a thing during a certain era.
Yeah.
Was because I saw, and this is crazy, but there was a clip of this episode of Oprah where there was a woman who found out, I think she had to do some type of DNA test or something where they had to run her genes, or it's something. She had to do some type of test, and they came back and told her that she had, there was Black, like she was like a quarter Black or something. Looked like a white lady, looked just as white as they come. Well, it turns out her mother had passed all this time as a white woman and had married a white man, but her mother was not. Her mom was, she was mixed, and she just was very fair skinned. So it was during a certain era where there were a lot of fair skinned men and women who passed, and they ran
And the
with it.
crazy thing
Like that's what it
is
was.
like, because when you go to the family reunions, like on that side of, like on my great grandma's, like when we go to those reunions, like it be white people there. Like I know that I'm related to white people, but I never, like, nobody knew that this woman might possibly be passing because she got some black in her. Like, she got some black in her, because they wouldn't have traced us back to Africa if she didn't.
If she
They
didn't,
wouldn't have
right.
been able to.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's true.
they traced us right on back to Senegal.
Right on. Senegal.
I was like, well, I'm
So
Senegalese.
when I did, yes. So when I did my ancestry, it might have just been a little lie that I told myself, but I was under the impression that there was Indian kind of closer to my part of the family too. And when I did mine, or I should not say Indian, I should say Native American.
Mm-hmm.
When I did mine, I had and it was like less than 0.2% Native American. And I was like, well, that rules that out. But it was like,
Yeah.
18 or 20%.
Yeah. I will say I do
English,
know that,
Irish.
because on my granddad's side, there is Native American. That, and then Brittany,
I have
her
very little.
grandmother on her dad's side, like, I think her great grandmother was Native American,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. So I know, like, we can't really do that. It wouldn't pan out the same for us if we did that test. But
Yeah.
my cousin, for her to do it, and her mama is, because our great grandma is her grandma. So for her to do it and not find no Native American, somebody is lying. Somebody lied back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what's the real story.
Wow.
Like,
That's
it was crazy, because we thought we knew who we were all this time, and child, somebody was passing and somebody was lying. I don't know who it was.
So I guess onto the topic of, like, with those beauty standards, because even, like, I think that even kind of plays into the generational curse, if I may call it that kind of plagues our community, is the fact that we are always kind of grasping for some type of lighter culture to claim. I mean, I don't know if that's just been my observation, but there have been a lot, like, I've seen a lot of, and I mean, like, people who appear just as black, brown, light skin, brown skin, whatever. They just look as African American as they could. And they're just like, oh yeah, well, you're mixed with what? Black and black. Like, it doesn't, I get the need, especially when there's other cultures of yourself that you're living in that truth and you're experiencing that. So I completely understand, and not to, negate that or to downplay that at all. But I think, like I said, I do think that to a certain degree plays into the generational curse of our community, is this need to be accepted or connected to
because
lighter.
we don't really have, and I think it's because we don't really have we don't consider what we have here now as our culture, because we created our own culture, really. Once they brought us here, we didn't have a choice but to create our own culture,
right?
Because they whitewashed everything else we had. So I think for us, because we have such an identity crisis that we may not realize is so deep rooted, that we try to grasp at whatever. Because I know at one point I was grasping more onto my Caribbean culture than I was my black culture, because it was like, ooh, I got something to, because I love when people, like, I loved how that part of me, like, people are able to be like, they are so into their culture, they're so tradition oriented, they're so proud, like, proud. Not realizing at that time in my life, not realizing that my black culture, my African American culture, because I'm still an American, that culture is still important. That culture matters just as much as anything else that's in me.
Absolutely, yes.
And at the end of the day, the Caribbean folks are still black, so we don't, it's just culture. That's all. It's literally just culture and tradition and heritage. That's it. They still black.
And it makes me go back to that point from that book Cast that I read. I think Isabel Wilkerson is the author. She said, outside of the US, black and white does not exist. Like, that's not what they call it, and I find that so interesting, because even it's not only something where, of course, in, European standards and even American standards, white is right, like that has always been the more acceptable,
I think that's a worldwide thing, though. Because I feel like in any country you go to, the darker people are always the outcasts.
Always. I mean, and if you look at Asian cultures, it's the reason why they go out with umbrellas and long sleeves in the summer. They
And
are not
literally
trying
paint
to
their
get
faces white.
literally paint their faces white. Literally, it's all about being lighter, as light as can be. And
Bleaching is
even
really
like
big in Jamaica.
it's
Bleaching is
it's
really
big in
big
and
in
it's big
Jamaica and Africa.
in several parts of Africa, right? Several
Yeah.
parts of Africa. Bleaching creams are like the number one cosmetic and cream that sells.
Hmm.
And it's crazy that because of these standards that are set globally,
Hmm.
that the need for acceptance is, oh yeah, I need to lighten my skin so that I'm more
Hmm.
acceptable. And I mean, you look, there are even major artists, like big time artists or big time public figures who
Hmm.
have bleached their skin, who have wanted to
Hmm.
appear as light as possible. Like, it breaks my heart because
Yes.
I know how they feel. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
I know I'm the darker of the two of us, but I wanted to ask
Only
because
by a
we've even
moment.
talked only by a
Only
moment,
by a day in the sun.
So when did you become aware of your blackness, like your dark skin? Like, when did you become aware of that?
My
When your
blackness or my
first,
dark skinness?
I'm going to say your dark skinness, not your blackness, because I think that's a
Um,
whole different,
yeah.
yes.
So for me, there was a difference between me being aware of it and being aware that there was an issue with it.
Mm,
Because like I said, my great grandmother is fair skinned or lighter skinned. Her children, most of her children are, you know what I'm saying? My grandma is a lot lighter than me. My mom is lighter than me. My sister is lighter than me. On my dad's side, I got sisters and brothers way lighter than me. So for me, I was always aware that like I was darker than them, but it was never an issue. Nobody ever
hmm
made fun of me or like pointed it out. Like my mom just used to call me a chocolate banana because she was like, "You're my chocolate banana," because I was her little chocolate baby. Like
hmm
Brittany's not chocolate, you know what I'm
hmm
saying? So it was never a negative thing. And I remember because sometimes I be having to defend my dark skinness. And that's why I be so defensive when people be trying, like, don't exclude. It's like, let's
Don't
be,
exclude you from dark
because I've had to
skin.
do, because I remember when I was watching Dark Girls with my aunt, and I was saying to her how, like, I never experienced that. And she was like, well, that's because, like, you're not really dark. You like milk chocolate. And I was like, when we get new layers. Like I thought it was just light skin,
Right.
dark skin. Now and when I came to the South, people was like, "You not dark skin, you brown skin." And I'm like, "But I'm not that light to be."
hmm
To me, at least in my mind, and it could be the conditioning of me always being darker than everybody else that I see myself as darker. It could be that.
hmm
I don't know, but
It
in
could
my
be.
mind, I'm not as brown skinned as people try to tell me I am, I guess. But it could be conditioning. Maybe because I was conditioned that I'm the darker one, I see myself that way. I don't know.
Yeah. I,
But
I, I would concur that that might be a possibility because you have, first of all, let me clarify and say you have beautiful skin,
thank you.
absolutely beautiful, like radiant
Thank you.
chocolate skin. But you are absolutely a milk chocolate. Like you are absolutely milk chocolate. It's gorgeous milk chocolate, but it's milk chocolate.
I don't see myself like I literally when I look in the mirror, I see you. Like I don't see
Right.
that. I don't see it. I really don't.
That's so funny. That tickles me. That really tickles me.
Like in my
It really
mind,
does.
I'm dark. Like in my
hmm
mind, I don't know. And then it's crazy because even Alori's dad, he's darker than me, and I
hmm
never even. I swear to you, I thought we was the same color. And one day we was in the mirror, and I'm like, why do I look so much lighter than you? He
hmm
like, cause you are.
Because you are. Yes, you are.
But I'm like, in my mind, me and him the same color. I never realized that I was lighter than him. I never
hmm
realized it. And it's crazy to say it. And I know people are like, do you have a mirror? It's crazy to say it. But I really thought me and him was the same color. I really did. In my mind, we was the same color. Like
That's so funny.
I
Because
never
he's
noticed it.
actually close. He's closer to my skin tone.
I
Um,
thought we was all in there together. I
no.
really did.
Yeah. So I guess for me, the moment again, it was little, and I had, again, I said in the other episode, my the founder of the church my home church, she used to call me her chocolate rabbit. So that was when I became aware of my chocolatiness. Like I became aware of that. And then, but it was never really it wasn't a thing until I got a little bit older, and I started to hear, because there would be people, of course, who would be jealous. You know, there are kids who get jealous of other kids with cute little nicknames from the founding pastor. So they would be like, "Oh, chocolate rabbit," you know, just make it like an extra like black thing, and it became a thing where I began to become ashamed of being so dark. Like I used to, for years, I hated how dark I was, and I would try to avoid the sun, and I would always act like I didn't want to be outside. But I've always loved the outdoors. Like I've loved, you know, being in a garden, or, you know, just walking amongst trees, and, you know, just being the little hippie that I am. You know, like I can embrace nature. But as a child, it was conflicting, because as much as I wanted to be outside, I did not want to get any darker than I already was. And even swimming was a passion of mine. I used to swim like a fish. Anybody in my family could tell you. Like once I saw a pond, oh, they'd be like, we don't know when we're going to get him out of like the pool. Like we don't know when he's not going. I would be in the lake. I'd be in the ocean. I'd be in a pond. I would be any chance. I would try and swim in
the
tub.
bathtub, doing backstrokes.
It was a thing. Yes. I was on swim team. I did all types of like little swim classes. I loved being in the pool. And it became, even as I was growing up, it became more of a problem for me, because I wanted to be in the water and swim. But again, I would put sunscreen on and cover myself and coat myself. And I would look in the mirror after I got out of the pool. Every single time I would go and I would look in the mirror after I got out of the pool to see how much darker I'd gotten, and be like, okay, so I'm going to stay in for the rest of the day.
Off the water. It makes you darker. Like you tan more when you actually tan more that way, because the light the sun is reflecting off of the water.
Little bitty old me had no clue. So I would just be getting black every summer, like super dark. And I'd be embarrassed by it, you know? And for years I was embarrassed by being the darker one. Like I would take pictures, or I remember at one point I was like playing hide and seek or something with some cousins, and we were in one of our houses, and it might have just been us there, like a couple of us, and we had like all the lights off, and like everybody's hiding, and it's like pitch black, it's super dark. No, we were outside in the country, hiding, having a good old ball, and it's pitch black, it's super dark. And I think I smiled, and they were like, "Oh, Jay, I can see you now." And it was
pearly whites against that chocolate
yes,
skin.
you know, it was like, you know, because of your eyes and your teeth, I can see you. And I'm like, damn, that stings, you know, like, so it wasn't for me. It honestly wasn't until college, and I said that a little bit in the PWI episode, but being around Black people who, one, would joke with me about my dark skin, and I'd be able to come back, you know, with the comeback. And then two, people who just loved my dark skin. And I mean, of course, growing up, there were several people who would compliment it, but you know, like especially when your brain's not fully developed, and you're not able to
all
see.
All it takes is one person.
All it
that
takes
one
is that
person
one insult,
that
one sting, and it stays with you, you know. And you're not, that one insult covers up 100 compliments, you know. So that was what I faced.
College was when I realized my dark skin was an issue. Because when that boy sat there, little bit darker than you, mind you, when he sat there in my face, and not only did he tell a girl that she was pretty for a dark skinned girl, and he didn't understand why she was offended, but then when he was saying like that he doesn't date dark skinned girls, and I'm just, now granted, now that I'm an adult, I see he just has self-hate, but at the time I'm like, wait, is something wrong with being dark? Like there's something wrong with it? Like people don't like that? That's a problem? Because I never, and then mind you, when I was in college, literally all of my friends, except my best friend Kelsey, were lighter than me. Our friend group, because Kelsey, after our first semester freshman year, she left. So literally my friend group, everybody was lighter than me. But I never saw it as an issue. I never thought about it until he pointed it out. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, people have, like, this is a problem. Like, people actually don't date people. Black people don't date people because they're dark skinned. I'm like,
they're
what?
too dark. Yeah. Yeah.
Dark skinned people don't date other dark skinned people
The
because they
dark
don't
skin people,
want dark
yes.
babies? What? Mind you, me over here loving chocolate man, okay, wanting a chocolate baby. You know, she came out lighter, but you know, love her regardless. But I'm just saying, like, until I went to college, I didn't realize it was an issue, and as soon as I realized it was an issue, I was so aware of my skin tone. I was so aware of it, and it's kind of like, it's crazy because I went through my whole life. I went through 17 years of life being confident in myself, and my insecurities had nothing to do with my skin. My insecurities had nothing to do with me being black at all, ever, until I got to college. And it could have to do with me, you know, going to college in the South and coming from up north. I think
it honestly does play
I was like
a role in it.
And then once he said it, that's when I noticed it everywhere. I noticed how I did, because in the 90s, you could see, like, you would see Pam, you know what I'm saying, who was fine. Like, Pam was everything. Like, she was that, I loved her. Like, you could see representation of darker skinned women, but I never noticed the nuances of that, even that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Didn't notice it until it was pointed out to me, and now my whole world looked different. My entire world looked different. It was crazy.
It's crazy how once you know something, how it does change the way you view the entire world.
And it's crazy how it changes the way you view yourself when the whole time you knew who you were. We're more aware of ourselves when we're younger than we are when we allow the outside world to start to get impressions on us. That is so
true.
We know so much about, we know who we are, and then we go out into the world and we lose ourselves, and then we spend our whole lives trying to get back to where we were, not even realizing that that's what we're trying to do. It's crazy.
100%. And I think that leads us to the big word. Like, we've said it, and it's something that has been conditioned in the community, and that is colorism. Like, colorism is, you know, picking or deciding that someone is more favorable because their tone is lighter versus darker. And it is within, and it's not just, you know, I want to be very clear that we are speaking specifically about the Black experience, but do your research.
Every culture.
It's in every culture of color, every single one, because you can see it.
Before you name the cultures, I want to go to one specific culture, Latin culture.
That was where I was headed.
Yes, because I want to point out one specific thing that has recently occurred. I don't know if you went and listened to the song Yellowbone. I don't know if you heard it.
I heard the snippet.
Yes. And
Child.
The crazy thing about it is, so in Latin culture, for those who do not know, and even J-Lo got a little flack too about using a word in her song that actually stems from their culture that ties into this. But in their culture, if you are of Latin descent and you have more of a European Spaniard type look, that is more favorable than if you look Afro Latina or Latino. And it's crazy that someone like that would put out that song and say something as if they're not even, because it's like, if you're not aware of it in the Black culture, how are you not aware of it in your culture? Because in your culture, you're not accepted, which is why you came over here to ours, where you are. And then you make a song like that.
I could see, now that you say that.
Because in our culture, you're put on a pedestal. In your culture, you're not.
Not so much, yeah.
You're more accepted over here. And so you adapt to where, and whether she did it intentionally or not, you adapt to where you're accepted at. You feel accepted because you're superior, you're perceived as superior in this culture that you're technically not a part of.
Hello.
Because being Afro-Latina and being Black mean two different things. If you did not know, that means two very different things. Afro-Latina is somebody of Latin culture who has African heritage
African
down the line
ancestry.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Being Black is literally being African American. Like, you're
African
African.
American.
Like,
African, yes, Black.
like, it's very that.
And for those who don't know, Black is exclusive to the African American experience. Like, there's
Exclusive.
you don't call Black
African
people from the
Black.
UK or African. You don't call people who are in the UK that are of melanated, complexion. They're not considered Black there. It's just not. People aren't considered Black anywhere but in the U.S. So that is a really important distinction. But we were talking.
But even those people, if they came over here, they would still be Black. She wouldn't be Black anywhere she went. She's just not Black.
Right, at all. She's not Black. There's no
and
Black culture, no Black.
Let's define what a yellow bone is. For those who do not know, a yellow bone is a lighter skinned Black person. So for her to be a yellow bone, she would have had to been Black. So that was her first mistake, was that you're not a yellow bone, you're just Hispanic. You're Afro-Latina.
Precisely.
Or however you would like to refer to yourself.
Yeah, I don't even think she's Afro-Latina. I don't even think she's Afro-Latina. I think she's just Latina.
That's another thing, because when I saw her parents, and I'm like, okay, your mom is very clearly not Afro-Latina. Your dad maybe could, maybe Afro-Latin, Latino. These words, it's a lot of words. But you can tell that it's very more leaning towards the European side of things. And also, she was at one point much lighter. She tans. You can't call yourself a yellow bone if you have to go and try to get the skin.
If you have to add it on, right?
Because then you're not
true.
And then you're not Black. And then on top of that, for you to say, because the words in the song, for those who have been blessed enough not to hear it, is yellow bone, that's what he want. That was like the little chorus little thing or whatever. And the crazy thing is, she said it was an anthem for light-skinned women. You can be proud of your light skin, but let's be very, very clear. You are not putting out an anthem for light-skinned women by telling them that their validation depends on what a man wants. That is not an anthem. What you're doing is setting women back, because your perception, you are looking for self-validation in a man. You think you're superior because that's what he wants. Not because you love you, but because that's what he wants. And let's also be clear, because they wanted to bring brown skin girl into it that Beyonce made. Brown skin girl was for all the shades, for all the little Black girls. It was fair, because whether you're light or dark, you're still brown skin. Period. Coming from a light skinned woman. Okay, a Creole.
Right.
At that. Okay, so let's be very, very clear. It's not the same thing. And her song had nothing to do with what a man wants, and it was all about just loving you for who you are.
Absolutely.
Now, if she had said something like that, then that would be different. And then if the song was actually good, because it was trash. It was trash at the end of the day.
You do like Yellow Bone?
Yeah, it was just trash.
Oh,
as
absolute
a whole.
garbage.
The flow was trash. The beat was trash. It was done terribly. But it's like, if you want to do an anthem,
I thought it was a joke.
It was for real. She was serious.
I thought it was a joke. So it's an actual full song.
Yes.
Oh, because all I heard was that little 10-second clip, and I was like, "This is garbage."
Because that's all they needed before they ate her up. They ate her up after that 10-second clip.
Yeah,
and it's like the people in the comments that were acting like they didn't understand the issue, and it's like, this is not an anthem for women when you're telling a woman that the reason why she's valid is because a man wants her.
A man wants her. Yeah,
that's not an anthem. If anything, you're setting light skins back, sis. What? What?
And that's Danny Lee, Danny Dandelion, whatever her name is. That's who we're talking about, for those who don't know. The song was garbage. But and I would, even before I get into those other couple of cultures those other several cultures, it's not just a couple, but it's something that's very prevalent in hip hop and rap and even R&B. If you go and listen to some of the lyrics, there is a lot of colorism and a lot of light skin is more,
self-hate is what it
a
is.
lot of absolutely
A
call
lot
it
of
what it is.
men
A
who
lot of
don't love
self-hate.
themselves because they mamas look like me, but they
Hello.
worship lighter women. And there's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love my light-skinned sisters. It's not y'all fault that this is what y'all didn't create this.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, just like white people have to acknowledge their privilege, everybody has to, you got to own your privilege. You got to own it. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? It is what it is. It's the world that we're living in.
It is the world that we live in. And and again, it's not just exclusive to, the Black community or the Latin community. I mean, it's in the Asian community, as we've said. It is in the Indian community. I mean, again, there's a preference for the lighter, fairer skinned women to the more richer complexions. It's just, it's a fact of the world. It is global. It's not just
and that's a big
in
thing
one
in
community of color.
Bollywood
It's in
too.
all.
Like a lot of the people in Bollywood talk about how if you're a darker skinned Indian, you're not gonna get those roles. Like, or even how in America they choose the Indian women and men who favor the more European features, or they're lighter.
Yes.
They took our statues down in all the places of the statues. If you didn't have those features, they literally remade statues to change the standard of beauty across the world. How
across
sick
the
is
entire
that?
world.
Europeans was really on some world domination type thing. Like, how sick
I mean, look
that?
at what they did to the Sphinx and his big nose.
Listen, look at what they
because
did to
that
Buddha.
leads us into another important addendum, a good old little segue to add on into the conversation, and that's featureism. Like, because I think that's something that's not talked about as much is featureism, but it's the fact that's picking or saying someone is more beautiful because of the slimmer nose, because of the hazel eyes, the full but not too full lips, like those high cheekbones, and it's picking these features that are considered more European and more favorable. And it's just as a whole, it is sickening. It is absolutely disgusting that nothing is off limits. Like, your nose too big, you got too many eyebrows, your eyelashes is too thin. Like, what?
That reminds me of a Black person, you got it. We don't like it.
We don't like it. Like,
what? And then what's even sicker, what's even more twisted, is that you have their own people now going and paying for our features and getting the recognition that we would never get.
Never.
Being idolized for having paid for, not born with, paid
full
for
lips,
our
full
features.
Butts.
They tan, they get the lips, they get the butts, and then they get the recognition, they get the jobs, they get the everything, and we're still left sitting here looking stupid, and we were born with it. It ain't Maybelline.
What? It's a Dr. Somebody. That's who it is. I think we have come to the perfect place for a break, because child, the ghetto. Like, so we are going to take a super quick break, and we're going to continue this conversation. We'll be right back with more of the 5011 Chronicles. And we're back. So, oh my goodness. This is just crazy because, I was thinking, there was a story, and I don't know if you remember this story. You were telling me a story a while back, and I'm hoping this will spark your memory. But there was a conversation you had with your friend about beauty. And do you remember what story I'm talking about?
Yes. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how I was saying how, like, I don't mind commenting on other, like, I tend to comment on other women's like pictures and stuff and tell them that they're beautiful and stuff like that. Like, I don't mind uplifting other women. And he was saying, like, well, what if they not? And you under their comments telling them that they are. And I'm like, well, who's to say that they're not? I'm not the one that can say that they're not. And I was like, you know, there's a difference between there are people who are commonly attractive, right? There are people who are across the board more popularly considered attractive, right? But however, who's to say that anybody is unattractive? Because literally there's always going to be somebody that isn't going to find that person attractive, even the commonly attractive people. There's always going to be somebody who's like, I don't see the hype, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And he was saying, and I was saying to him, like, for me, I feel like beauty to me is not always an outwardly thing, because you can have somebody who is outwardly nice looking, but their inside is so ugly that they become unattractive. You know what I'm saying? There are people, for example, and this is not to speak to his character, but this is just an example, like Michael B. Jordan. I don't get the hype. I don't see it. But everybody think that man is like the sexiest thing that was ever created. I don't think he's ugly. I just don't get the hype. But that's just my personal, you know what I'm saying? That's me. My baby father. Everybody thought that was like the piece of the piece. I think he's the piece of the piece, or thought, because nah, he still looked the same. But you know, I ain't going front on him. He's still attractive. But like, for example, my best friend, she was like, my best friend at the time, she was like, I don't get it. And I'm like, girl, I don't know how you don't get it. I see it. Everybody else see it. But she just didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I was trying to explain to him, it's like, you can't say that somebody's not beautiful, because there's always going to be somebody that sees their beauty. You just have to take the time to see it. Our friend that we used to work with, I don't want to say his name and put him out there, but even he calls himself ugly on his social media. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes, I know who you're talking about.
And I had told him one day, I'm like, you're not ugly, you just be walking around looking homeless. When you actually get yourself together,
you be looking like a bum.
You're actually really cute. You just need to, you know, do your hair, cut it up, maybe braces, and you're good. It's the truth. He's not ugly. He's not ugly to me. But to other people, like if somebody was walking down the street and see him, they'd be like, girl, what? Yes, he is. And I'm like, no. And I told him, I said, sometimes we just don't look at people long enough to see their beauty. And we don't take the time to try and see the beauty in people, because we're so surface
materialistic.
We're such surface people.
Such surface
people. And it's ridiculous, but it's like,
very
and I was like, maybe
absolutely.
I'm tripping, because he was like, no, like he was like, you out here misleading people, and I'm like, how am I misleading them? What? Like,
and I think that leads us to another important topic on this conversation. Like, we've talked colorism, we've talked featureism, but I think it's important to distinguish the difference between like colorism, or calling someone beautiful based off of beauty standards, not actually true inner beauty, and preference, because there is a difference. You know, like you were saying, Michael B. Jordan is just not your preference. Like, that is very different, because you would say, oh yeah, he's an attractive guy, but that's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, like, I'm not attracted to him. I don't see the hype about him.
Well,
he's not ugly.
Right. You don't see,
but I just don't.
He's not ugly, but okay. And
Future's not ugly, but I don't get it. I don't get it. He's not that all that to me. He's not really that cute to me. I don't like to call people ugly, though, because I don't feel like
thing.
I think ugly is more of an inner thing. I don't like to call
I think a lot of the fame is what a lot of people are also attracted
to. Okay, I'll give
to.
another one. Trey Songz. I don't think he's ugly, but I just don't think I don't go up the way everybody else be going up. You know, they be going up.
They do be going up. They be showing out for some Trey Songz. This is true.
They get a last for some Trey Songz.
This is true. But they used to be like, I didn't understand, and this, I really don't even want to say his name, but I didn't understand everybody's hype around R. Kelly. I didn't get it when they would be like, he'd be getting the just whatever.
Yeah,
I don't even want to give him. It's it's just important for, like, it is okay to have a preference and to have a certain type of person you enjoy being around over others, but it is important at the same time to ensure that you're not turning someone down just because their skin's darker or because their nose is too big. You know, like you just never know. And it goes back to that point of inner beauty, because some of the most beautiful people I have been around, others would not consider attractive. And that's it. To me, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It is an individual, subjective thing. Like there's
Let me ask you
preference.
this, because I asked him this same question. And for me, this is like true for me. Have you ever been around somebody and got to know them and they became more attractive to you? Like you didn't even see it at first?
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
He didn't get that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, because for me, there's personality as a factor into it. And there's certain bits and pieces of someone's personality that you just don't get at the beginning of the conversation, the first conversation, the first glance. There's certain pieces of a person you're just not exposed to until later. And that's really when that inner beauty plays a part. Because for me, there has to be a certain spiritual connection, and there has to be a certain like emotional, mental, like stimulation type of connection. So I have to get to know somebody for it to even go anywhere. You know, like
right. I'm the exact same way.
You know, it's
because
like
I couldn't stand my baby daddy when I first met him, and then he was like, "No, D, you just gotta. This is your fault. This is me. Like,
this is
for
not
everybody that doesn't know. This is all Jay's fault.
This is not. I cannot take the credit for this one. I cannot take the credit for this one.
This is all Jay's fault. Okay, I wouldn't have a baby if it wasn't for Jay.
We're not gonna put that one on me. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think there have been people I've met who it just never, because of the way my mind works too, it just never crossed my mind with a certain person until, you know, you get to know somebody and it's like, you know, you kind of fine. Like you might be like, there's something kind of attractive about you. Like you got this energy now, you know? And so, yeah, I completely, and then even for me, it's also, and there's a certain energy or oral or like type of intangible aspect to it that goes beyond, like I said, it goes back to a spiritual connection, because there have been spaces where I've been around people who have been hyped up to me. Oh, this person's the most gorgeous, or they're the best this, or the best that, or the best whatever. And then get in a space and your energy is off. Like, I don't know. Okay. These people must not know who they're talking to, because what you're showing them is not who you are. And, you know, sometimes you've got to listen to that inner voice on the inside, because it'll tell you, you know, there's certain things that we just can't run from, and it's one of them. So.
Yeah. And see, for me, I'm one of those people where I'm so weird, and this is why I don't date, because I'm so weird. Like I have to be drawn to somebody. Like I have to want them in order for it to work. Like if somebody like me first and I ain't thought nothing about it and they come up to me, I'm gonna just be like, you crazy, LOL. Like that type of time. But I have to literally, and it'd be crazy, because it'd be like, it's not often that it happens to me, but that's why I'm joking when I say I blame Jay, y'all. It wasn't Jay. Jay just said be the man friend. Like he just said give him a chance. He didn't say all that. But you know what I'm saying? Like it'd be like, I'm one of those people where it's like something clicks and it's just like I just be drawn to that person. And it's just like, and I'm one of those people, once I want something, like I have to have it. Like I have to have it.
I get that. I completely get that. So this has been a very interesting conversation on beauty standards. And there was one more point I wanted to bring up. I was reading something somewhere and they were talking about how to a certain degree they see, and I wish I could credit whoever it was, but I can't remember who it was. They see that there's a certain level of beauty that is connected to wealth and a certain level of financial desirability. And I see what they might be saying, because I see how some people, money can make somebody more attractive to the public, to the general public, I'll say, because there is a certain level of discernment that protects others, protects some of us, that doesn't protect others because they just don't tap into it. But what is your take on that, on the connection between beauty and money? Like, do you think there is one? Or do you think it's just purely societal?
I don't think that there is one. I think that I think it goes back to what we said before. We have become very surface people. So we are attracted to surface things. And when people have money, they can buy things like nice clothes, nice shoes, nice jewelry, stuff like that. And so because we equate those material surface things with value, we put so much value in that. I think it's more so not necessarily that we consider those people more beautiful, it's that we consider them more valuable. Because they have things. Because we're very surface people and we care more about things than we do about people. And that's why when people get in these situations, that's why you see women who end up in abusive situations, or they end up in these toxic relationships, because the value was placed on the surface things, the material, how it looks. Especially our generation with the social media age, it's all about how it looks. If it look good, then cool. They'll post a relation. People be posting these little cute couple pictures. As soon as they break up, it's all these toxic stories about you did this, you did, and it's like, but you were still there for all of that,
right?
What?
Right.
And the thing is, it's that, or the mentality of, oh, I'll rather cry in a Rolls Royce. What kind of stupidness?
What kind of foolishness?
But you're still crying, stupid. I don't mean call people stupid, but it's stupid.
No, it's stupid.
You're still crying, stupid. I don't want to cry nowhere. I don't want to cry. Are these happy tears? Am I crying because I'm happy that you bought me the car? Like,
right?
What?
Is that what it is?
Or am I just crying and I'm in this car and it's like, well, I'm crying, but at least, and it's this crazy mentality that a lot of women have adapted, where it's like a man can do you wrong if he got money, but if he broke, it's worse that he's doing you wrong. No, girl, you shouldn't be sticking around to be done wrong. Period. To me, it's worse that you would let somebody with money do you wrong, because that means that you don't value yourself. And you put your value in him. You feel like you're only worth as much as he has, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely. You know what that makes me think of, right?
What?
Hotels. It makes me think of Jasmine's album. It really does, because there is a certain level
on
of
that one. She talked about it.
She did. She talked about it. And many times I see, that's when you know you got a good writer, because you can't tell if she's writing because this is how she feels or because this is what she sees. Like I viewed the reality show as, because of the way it was structured, I'm like, oh, this is definitely what she's seeing. But see, with this album right here, she doesn't blur that line, and I can't tell if this is how you feel, Jasmine, or if this is also what you see. So yeah, you know, I think that is a very good point. Yes,
it's sad, and I hate to see my sisters out here like that. I really do, because it's really, that has really become like the standard. Is like, if he got money, at least he got money. You know what I'm saying? At least he ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? Or like even when you see like people try to come for the girls, like, girl, like, why? And they be like, oh, well, at least he got money. Yo dude broke though. And it's like, okay, but girl, you still getting done wrong. Like, what you talking about? You don't want nobody that's gonna treat you right? What?
Is money, that's what gets me, is I think that our society has placed money so high. I get that it is necessary for us to live because of how society has been established, but money is like the only thing that takes over everything. It is the number one, and because it is the number one, people look past people. Like they look past the relationships and the memories that they could be forming because of the money that they're trying to attain, and whatever route, you know, any means necessary. That's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And all of their faves are doing it now. So like these younger girls really think that that's the wave. They really think that that's cute.
It's
like that's
setting up
and it's sad because it's sad because it's still passing down that generational curse that love is supposed to hurt. That real love is supposed to hurt. When it's not like that.
It's not. No.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't get me wrong, people aren't perfect. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna go through things in a relationship, but you have to know boundaries. You have to know when, okay, this is too much. You have to know when you're not being respected. Because I'm sorry, I don't care how much money you got. Try me if you want to. Try me if you want to, okay? When I be sitting up there, you listen. When I turn in the left eye on you, don't say nothing, okay? Because I'll burn it all down, burn down everything you got. Now, how much money you got, sir? Well, you got to buy it all back. Talk about crying a rose, sweetie. I'll burn that rose. Are you kidding me?
Like they made me think of Angela in Waiting to Exhale.
She didn't do it right though. See, she waited too long. When I tell you I would have did all that in his face, I would have burned up all his in his face.
That's yeah, he tried her. He done it in his face. He really.
But she was another one because she knew what was going on and she still stayed. And you waited until that man decided that he was gonna leave you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got upset.
And then got upset.
Because you knew, and she knew, and she knew that man was cheating on her.
Such a good movie. That's one of my favorite like go-to movies. I mean, like that's a really good one. Waiting to Exhale is gold. So we have had a very exciting conversation on beauty standards and the community. My soapbox today. Yes. Oh yes. I love so many of your takes on this one. Yes. Goddess wisdom there. So
thank you.
I did want to play a little game with you. Made me think of Saul. Do you want to play a game?
Not with him. No, I don't. Not with him. No, I do not.
I'm good on that one. But this is not that kind of game. This is actually, we're in the month of February. Yes, we made it to another month. Woo, yes. Love it. And Valentine's Day is right around the corner, across the corner. Across the corner. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And so, I've actually never had a Valentine. It's just not it's not my holiday. It's not my thing. But I always listen to some good
Before you say
R&B.
That, can I make a point about Valentine's Day? I want to say that one thing that I love that my mom did growing up was she bought us Valentine's Day gifts.
Oh, my mom did too.
Because love is love, no matter who it is. It doesn't have to be a relationship thing. Love is love. That is true. And if you love somebody, get them a gift on Valentine's Day. Let them know.
I lied because I have always had a Valentine every year. And I just said I didn't have a single I've never had a romantic Valentine, but I've always had a Valentine. And my mom has always
Valentine's Day is a lie anyway. So
it is. It's just another capitalist trick. But, but, with the kind of romantic weekend coming up, for me, I always feel like great music for romance and love vibes and all of that good stuff is R&B. So I want to hear your top 5 R&B. But before you do, I'm going to give you a little time to think because I know I just sprung this on you.
I still don't know.
I'm gonna give you a little time to think, and I'm gonna go through my 5. But before I give my 5, I have to talk about who's not in my 5 and why. Because there are some people who I have to say are not in this list, so that when you hear this list, the world knows why I chose the people I chose. So Whitney Houston is not on this list. Whitney Houston was an amazing vocalist and could sing just about any genre she touched. She could sing every genre she touched. But she was a pop vocalist. So Whitney Houston was pop vocalist. Erykah Badu, for me, is not on this list because I consider her the mother of neo soul. And I feel personally, as a musician, I feel a difference between R&B and neo soul. They feel like two different worlds to me. They have there's some intersectionality there. They do cross some lines that are similar, but they are two different realms for me personally. I did not put, the Frank Ocean on this list for me, because I just chose not to. Because he's one of those artists like Janelle Monáe who I feel like kind of transcends genre a little bit. Like they aren't Miguel's just like one genre.
I was thinking Miguel about him, but I'm like, Miguel
Miguel
a little bit of everything though.
They give you a little bit of everything because Miguel will give you some bossa nova and some Portuguese real quick. He'll take it there. And Janelle Monáe will give you a pop hit. She'll give you a little R&B. She'll give you some neo. She'll give you, and same with Frank. He'll give you a rap. He'll give you R&B. He'll give you hip hop. So and Beyonce is not an R&B artist. I need to say that also. Yes, she has some nice R&B hits.
But she's
Destiny's
majority
Child could definitely be considered an R&B group, but she is a pop artist also. So I had to throw I had to put those down. And Aretha Franklin, I did not put her on this list also because I consider her the queen of soul music. Because I just have to give all of my caveats because I'm passionate about the music. And I just need people to know where I'm coming from.
Number 6 on my top 5.
I'm number 6. Love it. Ow. Okay, so we're getting there. We're moving on up in the charts.
Yes.
No album out. So
okay.
So okay, in no particular order, my top 5. I've got Luther Vandross because I can't not put Luther on a list of R&B. I can't not put
Luther went pop though.
Luther did go pop, but if you listen, Luther's albums were all.
So we're gonna say big Luther.
They weren't all. Maybe I might need to take Luther off. No, I'm leaving Luther on this list because Luther not only sang and wrote R&B for himself, but he was also on some amazing albums for other artists, not just in R&B, but everywhere. He was another one of those artists who was in a lot of genres, but his beginning, his foundation, and even his first album in particular, which I think set a certain standard of what we were going to get from Luther. And his biggest hits to me are R&B. Okay. So I had to put him on here. Anita Baker.
Yes.
Can't not put, because I would love to put like a Toni Braxton on there, but Anita came first. Like Anita Baker set a whole, she set the stage for that type of performance, that type of classiness and elegance that she brought. And I mean, just pure, amazing, raw vocals. I mean, so crisp, so clean, but she could definitely give you rasp. She could give you edge. She could, blows minds. And then scat singing, let's not even like, she could do it. I think this one people aren't going to expect me to say, but it took me reading this memoir to remember how much this artist means to me. And yes, I know people are going to say that she is also pretty pop, but her foundation is R&B, and that is Mariah Carey. I have to, because
that's not fair. You can't say Beyonce can't be in it, but then put Mariah. That's not fair. That's not fair.
What do you mean? Okay,
that's not fair.
So
Mariah was very much a pop artist.
I mean, yes, but at the same time,
she was singing, but she was a pop artist. She gave you same thing Beyonce gave you. You can't do that.
I will give you that because I've got a backup. So it's okay. I'll give you that one. I'll take
That's
Mariah
not
off
fair.
because I had a tie for the next space, so I'm going to use both of these.
It ain't a tie no more.
It's not a tie no more. Thank you for breaking the tie, and that was Fantasia and Brandy. So I had to put both of them on the list because at different times, the reason they were a tie was at different times in my life, I considered one of them in my top 5 and the other one not. So growing up, I did not listen to Brandy just because, again, I wasn't exposed to a ton of R&B in my own kind of little something here and there. But I didn't get to hear Brandy growing up. So when Fantasia came out, I was watching American Idol with my family, and first, second, third album, I mean, up until her last like 2 albums, I have been a diehard Fantasia fan. Like
that first album was, I still to this.
But let me tell you, the middle 2, her second album, well, I'll say specifically by name, Side Effects of You, and the one that had Bittersweet on it. The is it called Even Angels? It had so many good, Falling in Love Tonight. I'm Doing Me, that album with the purple cover.
I was not the biggest fan of Bittersweet.
I love that album. Bittersweet was not my favorite off of that album because
once you get to the chorus, I was like, come on now. I wasn't with it. And then we had to play that in the band, and I was just not a fan.
Yeah, I
felt like she was yelling at me in the chorus.
She was yelling. No, she absolutely was yelling at you. No, there was no question about that. But I say go back. The rest of that album, though, like she sang that song from The Color Purple and killed it. I mean, like it's a good album. But Side Effects of You is by far my favorite album of hers. She was nominated for a Grammy for that album. She delivered with Side Effects of You. And then you can't find the deluxe edition online for real. But there was a deluxe edition that I bought when it came out because that's when I was still buying CDs. And she had 3 tracks on it that I can't find anywhere. I mean, I think I can find them on YouTube because I want to say I heard them in the past couple of years. But I mean, she had a song with Tank and all these other folks. It was so good. I mean, the album was just really, really good. But as Fantasia's career progressed, I just haven't been keeping up with her newer stuff. And then I rediscovered Brandy in the midst of my transition from Fantasia.
It's a good time to discover Brandy, honestly.
It is a great
It's her best work.
It is. But the album right before B7 that she had with like, Wildest Dream, 211. I thought it was 211. I was going to call it 2011, but it was 211.
Listen, so I know my Brandy.
Yes. 211 pulled me right back in. Like
211 was
pulled
so
me
good.
right back in. It was so good. Wildest Dreams, Without You. I mean, that was honey and milk and just it was beautiful. It was a sweet.
I used to play that album in the shower all the time.
So good. And then my number 5, without a doubt, hands down, everybody knew I was going to say it. I don't know why anybody's surprised. The one, the only, Jasmine Sullivan. Gotta say it. Gotta do it. She knows I'm a super fan. I just can't even. Been following her since her first album. Been hooked like a crackhead. I'm a jazz head. No doubt about it. Like, absolutely my favorite R&B voice. I listen to everything she's on. I try to. I think there's only been a couple features I haven't heard of hers, but everything else, like, big fan of Jasmine Sullivan. So that's my top 5 R&B with a little editing in there.
Yeah, because you tried it.
I did try it. You're right. I thought I was going to be able to sneak. I was going to try and sneak Mariah in there because
you can't put out a disclaimer for Beyonce and then put Mariah on the list.
We Belong Together to me was just, it was enough. I was like, this is going to do it. This is going to do it. Because of We Belong Together, I'm going to be able to
So Dangerously in Love wouldn't give Beyonce a slot. 1+1 wouldn't give 4, album 4. the ballads on 4 didn't give her a spot.
You're right. You're right. I'm not arguing at all with what you said at all. Because you're right. I tried it. You're right. I did.
You thought I was gonna let you slide with that? No, because I know R&B. Okay.
If it wasn't for you meddling kids and your darn dog. Yes, you're right. You're right. I yield.
Okay.
So your top 5.
We still doing this slightly off the dome, y'all. Okay, so definitely gonna start, and again, no particular order. I also definitely have to start with Anita Baker. I am from Milwaukee, where I had access to WGCI. Anybody that's in that area, Milwaukee, Chicago area, who know WGCI, they plays nothing but R&B. And when I tell you, when I heard the smooth sounds of this Anita Baker, because I used to have, my mom's coworker had gave me this radio because she had a tape stuck in it. It was a white lady, and you know how they got money, so if it be like one little thing wrong, they be like, I don't want it. My mom brought it home to me, and child, best believe I got that tape out. Promise. I'm like, I'll take it. I can fix that. Okay, take this back on to the hood. We'll get it right. And I used to like turn it down real low so my mom couldn't hear, and I used to literally go to sleep listening to the Quiet Storm. And so that Anita Baker, whew, listen, Lori listens to Anita Baker going to sleep now. That's how obsessed I became. Looped in with that, Lori also listens to Sade. Listen.
Yes, Sade.
I love me some Sade. I love me some Sade, okay? Those vocals are everything. Them songs, I mean, you could just put it on and just let it play. You ain't gotta do nothing to it. You really don't. You don't have to do nothing to it. Next on my list, I'm gonna go a little more current. Division.
Okay,
Anytime
absolutely.
somebody say R&B, I am going to say their name because it needs to be said. Because Division, listen, people are not just putting out art just R&B albums like that. Division is R&B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I tell you and sang down, the range is bananas. Them high notes, I be like,
Yes.
whew, you went from all the way down there to all the way
Child.
up here?
Child.
Love
Division gonna be
it.
playing
And
with
when
the
I say
range.
every single piece of work they have put out, you put it on and you let it play. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to touch it. And if y'all haven't noticed, that's a trend to me. You have to be that kind of artist to be in, you know what I'm saying, the loop with me.
Yes. Whole album listen through.
Yes.
No touching.
Next, I'm gonna switch it up because I don't want to say to the people, I don't want to go too much on the people that you had on your list because obviously when you were telling your list, obviously I'm obsessed with Brandy, so I don't even need to say it. I'm not even gonna put her in there because we've already established that. I'm gonna go Tamia.
Okay.
I don't feel like people say Tamia's name in I don't know if you really
I
listen
agree.
to Tamia like that,
I listen to some
but
Tamia.
listen, when I was in 6th grade, I think is when her More album came out. And when I tell you, me and my mama, we both wore the album out. Okay. Anytime she was like, D, pick a CD, I'm going straight to the Tamia Moore album to put that in. So, and I believe she had a song with Luther Vandross on that album.
Probably.
What she does? What is it? Close to You. If you go listen to it. Close to You with her and Luther Vandross. So good.
Yeah, it's close to you.
And then what is that? How many people did I name?
That's 4.
4.
You got one more.
Oh, oh, who am I gonna put in there last? I'm gonna go left field. I'm gonna just go to somebody else. You know who I'm gonna put in there? Kim. That Chemistry album, I became obsessed with
Okay.
Kim when he put out. Chemistry was so
good. That was unexpected.
I'm gonna go Kim. Listen, Kim makes some good music. I don't know if Kim's still making music. Not gonna lie, but but for me and for what I still listen to and like what I have on my phone and stuff when it comes to like that R&B, I'm gonna go ahead and put Kim in there because I don't hear his name enough, honestly, and he does the things. If y'all have never heard Kim's Chemistry album, go listen to it and get your life, and then after you listen to that, listen to everything else.
Yes.
He's
okay. Good. So, lightning round. I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
These have to be fast. Are you ready?
Yes.
So I'll answer after you, but these have to be fast. So, your favorite R&B song, go.
Oh
today,
my God.
just today. Just in this moment. Don't think, just think in this moment, right now, in this very moment, your favorite R&B song today.
I'm gonna go to my shower playlist because that's where all my R&B is. The playlist that I listen to the most. I'll do something.
And be thinking about. So I'm gonna give you these 2. And be thinking about. Is
Rotimi considered R&B?
Sure.
You stuttered.
Sure, we can consider more. Yeah, I guess so.
Honestly, you know what? Let's not even front. I've been playing pickup. I've been singing "Pick Up Your Feelings" all around the house.
Pick up your feelings.
I've been picking up all the feelings all around.
For me, it's so funny that's for me right now in this very moment. My song is Bodies. I cannot stop playing Bodies. I play Bodies at least 8 times a day. Like at least. And it's crazy because that's not my experience. Like I have not lived the Bodies experience, but them vocals, the way that she manipulates her voice to run around them notes, like she is at the Olympics 2022. It is crazy. Like Bodies does it for me. That's my current song right now that I just can't stop playing. My current R&B song.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, this is the tough one.
Okay.
What it just as of today,
Okay.
not of all time, just as of
Okay. As
today,
of today,
what is in your present
you had
feeling?
stressed me out for a second.
Look, that's why I had to go back and add that. I was like,
I
okay,
wish
hang on,
y'all
that's
could
way
have
too
saw
much
my
stress.
face.
Yes, yeah, no, y'all. I wish y'all could not. I'm glad y'all could not see her face because it was scared. Like it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Um, so as of just in this present moment, your current state,
Mm-hmm.
favorite R&B album.
Summer Walker, Over It.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I still literally the whole album is I literally went to the album and was like add to playlist. Like it ain't no point in picking a song. It's no
You
point.
know, you gave me mine earlier, and I'm gonna have to go with Beyonce 4 because you're right. That is a sick R&B album. It is so sick. It
Sang it
is
down.
stupid.
That
Like
is my
that was
favorite Beyonce
that's
album.
not mine too. That is my absolute favorite Beyonce album
Mm-hmm.
because that was like also like college era, like college
Mm-hmm.
age ish. That was
Yeah, we were.
2000 like what
Yep.
12
Mm-hmm.
ish. It was
Because
around
I think I
there.
had,
So
yeah, it was like 11, 12. Because no, it had to be
11, 12,
12 because
yeah.
it was 12.
Hmm.
I had an apartment at the time. It was 12.
Okay, so yeah, I just remember playing it a lot in college. I remember playing it a lot. Like I feel like that album helped me get through college.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was right there with me, getting that degree,
Yeah.
conferring, just moving our little tassels over. So it was, yeah, I played the heck out of that album.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, okay. Now we've come to our favorite part of the episode,
Yes.
which is our For the Culture Business shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I've got one that I kind of want to shout out and one that I really want to go a little in depth about because we were talking about beauty standards. Um, there is this amazing woman I follow on social media. Her name is Nye, or it might be Naya, but I think she goes by Nye, and she is on Twitter as the LA Beautyologist.
Mm-hmm.
She's a certified esthetician. She specializes in melanated skin problems and skin concerns. She helps, her clients develop like their own like skincare routines and things like that, but she gives amazing, I mean, amazing advice for people of color with skin concerns. And she has a really cool YouTube channel under the name The Golden Prescription, The Golden RX. So
I
check
subscribed
out,
to her. Why this
yes,
whole
she's one of
time
my
I didn't know who you
favorites.
saw until you said
Yes,
I love
nice.
her.
She
She's
is,
so cute.
yes, I've learned some of my favorite and like most dear skincare routine tips and things. Like I said, going into the beauty industry, I look everywhere for additional knowledge and insight on how I'm formulating my own products, but even how I utilize the products that I'm passionate about, which gets me to like the skincare launch I'm so excited about right now. And that is Miss Alicia Keys. So Miss Alicia
Hmm.
Keys has just dropped a skincare line, and it's not your typical skincare line. It is called Keys Soul Care. And it is, I want to say, exclusively through Ulta right now.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful royal purple packaging. And it's very like Egyptian inspired as far as like ingredients. There's a lot of like Manuka honey in her products. There's a lot of Egyptian inspired Ayurvedic medicine type things that they
Mm.
use to come up with certain like conclusions for skin of color.
And
So I
you
love
said
it.
that word, but you have to clarify what Ayurveda is for people that don't know.
So yeah, there is an entire study, and it's a tradition, almost a religion, I'd even say, of Ayurvedic medicine, which is an Eastern medicine practice.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is more holistic, it is more natural, but there are so many aspects and components of it that break down that there's a full area of skincare that is now really leaning in that realm. So there's a lot of products that are being used that are cruelty free, that are organic because of what type of ingredients are suggested through Ayurvedic practices. So it is something worth a lot of research because there's a lot of knowledge to pull from the teachings and from the traditions. So she's got, I mean, when I tell you it's a full collection, it is a full collection, the type of collection I dream of. So there's a cream that comes fragranced or fragrance free. There's like this golden cleanser. There's a mask. There's a face mist. There's a balm, an exfoliator. And she's even gotten like an obsidian facial roller, a black obsidian facial roller, and a candle that is sage and oat milk. So it's called Keys Soul Care. And again, it is very Egyptian inspired. Like if you look at the descriptions of the ingredients and, you know, the properties of the different products, it's really interesting. So I have several of these products in my cart currently as I'm about to, anyone who knows me knows I splurge on skincare, especially Black skincare and hair care.
That's only because yours isn't out yet.
That's only, come on now.
Shameless
Let them
plug.
know. Let them know. Soon and very soon.
Right. Soon, that's all we'll be using.
Hello.
You all set?
Yeah, I'm all set. So,
okay.
No, you're fine.
I just, anytime I can plug you, I do it, because
I appreciate it. Because it's going to be, at one point, they're going to be tuning into an episode that's all about the brand of the brand.
Okay. I can't wait to just be used. Because y'all, I have had the pleasure, and I still have, because I be using it very sparingly. Okay. I'm like, I ain't about to use up all my stuff. Like I still got my bar of soap and stuff wrapped up very cute and pretty.
Yes. Oh, so exciting.
So, and it smells so good though. Like it's literally like a perfume for my bathroom.
Ooh. You better let them know. Right. Come on now. Say less.
So the Black business that I would love to shout out is one that is very near and dear to my heart, and not just because it's my favorite, one of my favorite cousins. Okay, love you. But also because I actually own some of it. So it's Doe Club Clothing, club with a K, Doe Club Clothing. It is a Atlanta-based clothing line. They do ship, and they ship very quickly. Okay, because even though that's my cousin, I supported the right way, and I went on his site and I ordered it, and it shipped to me very quickly. They have a lot of really dope, unique designs. He also has a beard butter that his beard is flourishing. If you go on Doe Club Clothing, you'll see his beard is flourishing. He has a very, very good beard butter. It's natural. But what I love about it is the images on it. They're so unique, so dope. You can't find it anywhere else. You cannot find it anywhere else. I've never seen any images like what he has. So I think that is super dope. And I'm all about supporting a young Black man who's trying to make an honest entrepreneurial living. I'm all for that. So again, that is Doe Club Clothing. Check them out on Instagram. You can also go to doeclubclothing.bigcartel.com. And check out all the dope designs. They actually have, when you guys are hearing this, it's already out there launching a new shirt. It's the I Love Money crew necks. So if you go on the site, you'll see those right now. They're doing the pre-orders, but by the time you guys hear this, it'll already be then dropped. So definitely go and cop that. And any of the other dope designs that you see in there, cop that. Or if you're one of the guys with the beards, I know y'all like to love y'all beards flourishing, looking all nice and juicy and stuff, go ahead and get you some of that butter.
Yes,
honey.
juicy beard.
So again, that is Doe Club with a K Clothing.
Oh, love it. Yes. So as always, this has been a fun episode. Even our little R&B game at the end, that has been fun. And as we always let you guys know, we love you, and we look forward to seeing you each and every week here at the 5011 Chronicles. And if there's one wish that, you know, D and J that we have for you, it's that you get to know yourself better, and that you continue to know yourself better. So thank you so much for tuning in to another installation of the 5011 Chronicles. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Deuces.
Pass the peas like we used to do.